Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are enjoying the beginning of the week. We have a very special video to share with you guys today. We have the National Championship Best Bet video here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. The end of the college football season is here, and with that, the end of a beautiful era of college football. This is the last season with the 4-team college football playoff. This is the last season with the conference alignment as we've known it for decades. Starting next season, college football is going to look very different, for better or for worse. But this is the end of an era, so we should celebrate it. And we have a fantastic game here with number 1 ranked Michigan versus number 2 ranked Washington. I am rocking the Michigan Wolverine shirt. I do want to preface this before you guys click off and say he's biased. I'm not a Michigan fan. I just collect shirts and like jerseys and stuff like that. So I got this Jumpman Michigan Wolverine shirt. I thought, hey, let's rock it. So Michigan, Washington, college football, best bet video here. I have a ton of picks to share with you guys and no time to waste. So without further ado, let's dive right into this video. As always, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers. We are less than 3,000 away. We're getting closer and closer every day. Help us get to 50,000. Hit that subscribe button below. All right, let's switch screens here. National Championship Best Bets. Number 1 ranked Michigan versus number 2 ranked Washington. Again, I do want to preface this by saying I am not a Michigan Wolverine fan because I know people, they're going to see the shirt, they're going to see that, they're going to click off this video because they're going to think I'm biased in my picks. I am a Notre Dame football fan. I am not a Michigan fan. So the only horse I have in this race is the money that I'm wagering on my picks, just to preface that. I am on an 8-2 run right now in college football, my last 2 videos. So I am on a little bit of a hot streak here. We've had a really strong finish to the season with college football. We are up units on the year. So let's carry that momentum into this last video, into this game. This is a fantastic matchup. I think this is the matchup we were supposed to get. These are the 2 best teams in college football, truthfully. Not to say that Alabama and Texas wouldn't have been deserving, but it just felt like these were the 2 teams all year long that just stood out. Washington, I know they had a little bit of a down streak. In Michigan, obviously, they had the whole scandal. But I think these were clearly the 2 best teams all season long. So let's get on to the first pick here. And we are going with Michigan minus 4.5. We're going to put 1 unit on that. Again, not biased. I just really love Michigan in this side here. Michigan minus 4.5. I don't love the point spread, I will be honest. That 4.5 line scares me. I don't think this is going to be a field goal game. I do think Michigan will win by 5 or more points, truthfully. I see this being like a 7-point win for Michigan. I think they win by a touchdown. Look, this is a really great Washington team. Their passing attack, it needs no introduction, right? Michael Penix is arguably been the best quarterback this season. I know Jaden Daniels from LSU has something to say about that. Even Michigan's J.J. McCarthy's had a solid year. But Michael Penix has been, I think, the best quarterback in college football this season. And Washington's passing attack has been absolutely lethal. On the Michigan side, though, I just feel like Michigan has too much going for them. They got a great running game. They got a great defense. Their passing game is nothing to scoff at. J.J. McCarthy is going to be either a late first or early second round pick. He's an NFL caliber quarterback. They've got solid receivers. They have the better coach. I just think, and Michigan has been building to this for a long time. Not to say that Washington hasn't either. But Michigan, this just feels like the end of the road. This feels like their end game, right? The Jim Harbaugh era, I truly do believe, and this is a take, may not be the right take, but I do believe this will be Harbaugh's last game as the head coach of Michigan. I think he's going to the NFL. I think all the scandal stuff, all the allegations, all the stuff that's happened to him in the last year or so at Michigan, I think has turned him off to coaching college football. And I do think that his goal when he got here was to win a national championship, and this is his opportunity. I think he wins this national championship. I think he rides off into the sunset and goes back to the NFL. So that's my opinion on why I like the Michigan in this game. It feels like this is endgame. It feels like we've been building to this for so long, and it just feels like the proper conclusion to the Harbaugh story at Michigan. This team, he has been building this program for years and years, and every year we feel like maybe this is the year, and they get closer and closer and closer. They always fall short. I just felt from week 1 of college football, week 0, I should say, up until now, Michigan just felt like the best team in college football, and I don't think it was really a debate. Like, I know Georgia, people will say, what about Georgia? But Georgia, they just felt all year long like there was something off with it. This team wasn't as good as it had been in years past. Michigan just felt like, to me, all year long, the clearly best team in college football. And they've proven themselves. They beat some good teams. They beat Alabama in that national semifinal. Very good game. It wasn't even the best game for Michigan, but they played strong. They held on. They came back in the second half and won that game. I think Michigan wins by at least a touchdown here against Washington. I think that their defense should stifle Washington's passing attack a little bit. I still think Washington's going to throw. Michael Penix will still get his numbers, but I think Michigan's defense should be able to stop them in key spots. And I think the Michigan's offense, they should be able to give Washington's defense some trouble. Washington's pass defense is not very good. I think J.J. McCarthy is too good of a quarterback to not take advantage of that. I don't know how they're going to do on the ground necessarily. You'll see later I have some props that kind of align with my thoughts here. But that's my first spot here. I'm putting 1 unit on the spread here, Michigan minus 4.5. And for my second pick here, guys, I am going with a player prop. I'm going with J.J. McCarthy over 1.5 touchdown passes. I'm putting half a unit on this. Now, this pick, he is plus odds. I think it's like plus 130 right now to throw this. I think Washington's passing defense is just not that good. I think that if Michigan's going to win this game, they are going to need to rely on J.J. McCarthy a little bit more than they usually do. Now, he's hitting this at a 50% rate this season. In 7 out of 14 games this year for Michigan, he has thrown 2 or more touchdown passes, including their last game versus Alabama. He threw 3 touchdowns. I understand that game went to overtime, so there's a little bit of extra. But he's hit this at a 50% rate. I think that Washington's run defense is better than their pass defense. I think they're going to put pressure to Michigan to throw. And again, I think J.J. McCarthy is a good enough quarterback where he will take that and go with it. I think 1.5 touchdown passes, especially with my prediction that they're going to win this game, he's going to need to probably throw 2 or more touchdowns in order for Michigan to win here today. I think it's a pretty for half a unit on plus money odds. I think it's not a bad bet at all. Over 1.5 touchdown passes, half a unit, plus 130. This is a big game. In these big games, he's proven that he can step up and play for Michigan. So I see J.J. McCarthy throwing 2 touchdown passes at least here. So that is my second pick here. And for my third pick, we're just riding the Michigan train. I'm going Michigan team total over 30.5. Again, this Washington defense, they've got a solid run defense, but they don't have a very good pass rush. Their pass defense in general is shaky. They are not a very good team against the pass. I think that Michigan should be able to put up points here. I'm going to go with their team total, 1 unit, over 30.5 points. I think that Michigan should be able to score on Washington. I don't think it's going to be a blowout because I do think Washington offensively will be able to put pressure on the Michigan defense and will keep up in this game. But I do believe that Michigan will be the better team here. I think they're going to score points. They only scored 27. They just missed this. They scored 27 against Bama. Alabama's defense is much better than Washington's. So I like Michigan here. I think they're going to ride. I think they're going to score. Again, I think J.J. McCarthy's going to throw at least 2 touchdowns. I think Blake Corum will still get his. I think that they're going to be able to put up numbers on a Washington defense that is kind of suspect. So that is the third pick here for this video, moving right along. And again, piggybacking off of that last pick, I'm going to take the over for the total game. Over 56.5 points. I'm going to put 1.5 units on it. Believing that Michigan's going to score over 30.5 points. With that line of thinking, I think Washington should be able to score at least 24 points in this game on this Michigan defense. They gave up 20 points to Alabama, and I think that they're gonna give up some points here. I think Washington's passing attack is significantly better than Alabama's. They should be able to put a little more pressure on Michigan than Bama was. I think for Washington to score 24 points is not that unbelievable. In that case, all we need from Michigan is to hit that over of 30.5 points, score like 32 points, 33 points, which they should be able to do. I think the over is a pretty safe bet. I think a lot of sharp action I've seen so far. A lot of the sharp bettors are on this over as well. So I do think it is a pretty good spot here. Over 56.5 points, 1.5 units I'm going to put on this one. And it's not all Michigan love. I do have a Washington pick thrown in there. We're going Michael Penix Jr. of the Washington Huskies, over 1.5 touchdown passes. I'm going to throw a unit on that. Again, I've kind of on the same line of thinking of this entire video. If you watch my last college football videos, my last few, this is how I like to do. When I take my picks, these same game picks, I like to piggyback off of them and use my line. Now, the downside is if I'm wrong, then a lot of my picks miss. But when I'm right, it's just a straight hit factory. So I think Washington will be able to score over at least 24 points in this game. And with that line of thinking, you got to imagine that they're going to do most of that through the air. I think Michael Penix to throw over 1.5 touchdown passes is a pretty safe bet. He's been doing it all season long. Again, I think he's arguably the best quarterback in college football this season. I know Jaden Daniels won the Heisman, but Michael Penix has done it in bigger spots against better teams. So I do like the spot here, over 1.5 touchdown passes. Michigan has a pretty good pass defense, and they're going to make it. It's not going to be as easy for Penix. This is probably going to be the toughest defense he's played this year. It's going to be a really tough matchup for him, but I do think that he will capitalize and he will get his touchdown. So over 1.5 touchdown pass, I'm going to put 1 unit on this one. And going back to the Michigan side of things, again, I know the line right now for J.J. McCarthy's passing yards is like under 2. It's like 196.5 passing yards. I was tempted to take that over. the Washington's pass defense is not even top 100 in college football. So they give up yards. They give up points through the air. Roman Wilson, over 48.5 receiving yards. I'm going to put a unit on it. I just think it's as surefire a bet as you can get here. They're going to be throwing the ball. He had 73 receiving yards against Bama in the national semifinal. I think that he had a big game there. I think he's going to capitalize and have another good game here. Roman Wilson, over 48.5 receiving yards. Again, Washington's defense, one of the worst pass defenses in college football. Now, it's tough because they played so many good teams. They played Oregon twice. They played Caleb Williams. They played so many good quarterbacks this season. So it's tough to look at all of that and hold it against them. But the reality is their pass defense hasn't been great this year. So I do see Roman Wilson getting this number, over 48.5 receiving yards. This might come as a little bit of surprise because I've been heavy Michigan in this game, but I'm going Blake Corum, under 100.5 rushing yards. I'm going to put 0.75 units on this one. Washington may not be a good pass defense, but they do have a solid run defense. I think the strategy for Washington defensively is going to be, hey, we're not going to let Blake Corum go off on us. Let J.J. McCarthy beat us. And again, I think J.J. McCarthy he has the ability to beat them. But I think in Washington's mindset is, look, we feel more comfortable letting J.J. McCarthy try to beat us through the air than Michigan ground and pound like they typically do. I think he'll go under 100.5 rushing yards. I'm only putting 0.75 because it is a prop, and sometimes when you're betting these star players, you never know. But I'm going to go with the under here. Again, I think Washington defense, I think he's still going to have a decent game. I think he'll get over 80 rushing yards today. I don't think they're going to hold him to 50 or anything. I just think to go over 100 yards rushing on this Washington defense, I don't see it. I think they're going to game plan for this. They're going to force Michigan's hand. They're going to force Michigan to pass it. So I see Blake Corum going under in this game. All right, guys, my last pick of the video. We are going back to the Washington side of things. I have Dylan Johnson, anytime touchdown. I'm going to put 0.75 units on this one as well. Again, keeping in line with the thought that Michael Penix Jr. is going to throw at least 2 touchdown passes in this game, it is safe to assume that one of them will probably... It's pretty safe to assume he's going to score a touchdown. Now, I wanted to give you guys an anytime touchdown prop, and the easy one would have been Blake Corum, but his odds are like minus 400. So you can go ahead and take that. He'll probably will score a touchdown, but it's just not worth it in terms of an odds standpoint. So if you're looking for something better, I like Dylan Johnson here. He has scored a touchdown in 77% of his games this season for Washington. And in the last 2 games versus Texas and versus Oregon in the national semifinal and the Pac-12 championship game, he scored 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 games. So, and he scored touchdowns in each of his last 3, but in each of the last 2, in big spots against Oregon and Texas, he scored 2 touchdowns in each game. So for him to score another big spot here, I think for him to score at least 1 touchdown is a pretty surefire bet. They've been targeting him in these big games. Penix has been going to him in the end zone. I think he'll do it again here. So that's my final pick of today's video. Dylan Johnson, anytime touchdown, 0.75 units. We have a great slate here, guys. I am very excited about this game. And that's it for me, guys. That is the final college football video of the season. Not to get sappy here, this video is already running on the longer side, but I want to give a big shout out to Ev for passing the mantle to me, taking over the college football picks this season. I know he was running it for the past couple of years. He gave that responsibility to me. In the middle of the year, I think it was like week 5 or week 6 I took over. I couldn't have been happier to do this. Thank you to everybody who watched all my videos, who liked, who subscribed, who supported. Make sure to like and subscribe now if you haven't already. I want to apologize. I know the bowl season, I didn't post as many videos. Part of that was holidays, and I work a full-time job on top of this, and it's tough sometimes to make these videos on top of doing NBA and NFL stuff. And also, I just wasn't impressed with the bowl season. There were so many opt-outs and so much stuff happening. So I just kind of opted not to do a lot of bowl game videos, and it's just I might release a video at some point later on the channel, kind of an independent video talking about the state of college football and the bowl games and stuff like that, because I am very disappointed with what's happened. But that's my little spiel into why you haven't seen as many bowl game videos. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for this season, for following along, for everything. I will be back next season with more college football videos. I'll be taking over college football full-time next season, starting from the beginning. Like I said, this year I took over middle of the season. Next year I will be taking over from week 0 all the way until the very end. So, guys, thank you very much for this season. I'm so blessed to be a part of this community. I was so blessed to meet all of you guys who watch the college football stuff. I cannot wait for next season to be back. It's going to be very interesting with the expanded college football playoff field, with the conference realignment. We're going to have a very interesting season, a great slate of games next year. But, guys, until next time, until next season, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy the national championship game tonight. Enjoy the end of a beautiful era, sometimes messy, but beautiful era of college football. I will see you all later. Until then, I hope you're all winners.